Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Cape Rugby TV. Unfortunately, JP Nadia is not with us this evening. He has arrived back in one piece. We've just seen him, and we can confirm that he is in one piece and has arrived back safely. But he'll be back with you guys next week, so you've got to sit with myself and my guest this evening for another hour. Speaking of guests, Jerome Parbata, thank you very much for joining me once again.
Yeah, Morgan, good to be back. And I think last week on the show we were talking about wrapping up and sevens are done. But we're starting again. We started last night again with club players. So it never stops for us. So, but it's good. Guys are looking good and we're busy.
I was about to say, we're not really wrapping up. I mean, club scene has wrapped up. We'll talk a little bit later in the show about how we can keep clubs active, how people can, stay engaged with the clubs and the doors never close. But from a Western Province point of view, Jerome Parbata is an extremely busy man. I know the Western Province club guys were down, and let's just get straight into it then. The club scene, you guys had the guys test down for testing. What testing did you guys do, and was it successful? Are we already headed into that time of the year where we're testing, Jerome? That's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of clubs have already started. It seems like they also on this pre-season now. But we started with Super A and Super B last night. Started to test them, and it was good. There were 17 clubs last night. I expected a little bit more. But it's more positive than negative. So, 17 clubs. A lot of these clubs, I think out of the 17, there was about 11 Super B clubs and 5 Super A clubs. I know Durbanville said they're coming on Thursday because we're testing those guys who couldn't make it last night. We test them Thursday evening. So, they're coming. But it was really good to see all these players there. We managed to test 50 players, which was good.
That's fantastic. The club scene is really, the amount of talent that exists in Western Province Club Rugby is fantastic. Before we go down and go and see what took place down at Western Province headquarters, I have to thank our sponsors before I get into trouble. So to MCAM at the corner of N1 and Durban Road for sponsoring Cape Rugby TV, we thank them very much. Also to Direct Access, to Score, keep your cell phones handy. A little bit later in the show, there's a Score Energy Drinks competition. You can win for yourself a case of Score Energy Drinks. So make sure you keep your cell phones handy and you stay tuned to Cape Rugby TV for the next hour. You can stand in line to win yourself a case of Score Energy Drinks. And then also to Yes Electrical for coming on board with Cape Rugby TV. These shows and the club scene cannot run without fantastic sponsors like this. Jerome, before we go straight to the footage now, I want to talk a little bit about, you say 7 clubs. There is a potential for a number of clubs to still, it's a Wednesday night, so tomorrow morning can a number of clubs give you a call and send some players down? How does it work?
Yeah, they can. Look, last week we sent out the invitation sort of to the clubs to come and join us and do testing. And there's still opportunity for the Super A and Super B clubs guys to come and test on Thursday. And then what we do after this testing, once we've done all the Super A and Super B, we will send it to each club, the test results and what the guys can work on, what we find out what they like to do. So it's I would say it's a good start for a club coach to know, because we measure what we have there and sort of what we do with the Stormers guys. So we tend to measure on the same sort of measurements, though we know they won't be on the same level, but we have at least a guideline to work from, and then we give it to the club guys and we give it to the clubs. So it's a good start for them, and they can work from them, and then we'll also give them programs, and then we'll retest again. And obviously the guys that we've seen now the second time testing, if they improve, that's the guys, or the guys who's done well, that's the guys who will sort of form part of the Super Sport Challenge squad.
For a long time I've been anti the whole testing and is it the right way to do and not. But I must be honest, I think Western Province have really got it right in terms of, or yourself, who heads up that department, has really got it right in bringing club players through, because the wealth of talent in the Western Cape is second to none. We cannot argue with the quality that we produce across the board at all club levels. So if we talk about the testing, you know, how much are you looking at this testing, and are you looking for an improvement come January? And what does a player need to do? You know, there's probably a player out there listening right now going, I want to be involved, I want to play, I feel I'm good enough, or whatever it may be. What is it that specifically the elements that you're looking for from players in order to achieve potentially playing for the SuperSport Challenge?
Look, as I said, Morgan, we have different categories. We have a standard for loose forward, we have standard for tight forwards, we have standards for...
So quickly, is that the minimum standard required in order to be part of the squad?
Yeah.
And then obviously their playing ability is a completely different element altogether. But reaching certain standards, minimum standards, would be the starting point. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the starting point. And then in January we normally start with the on-field stuff. So we won't eliminate guys just from the testing, but obviously the testing is give us a guideline. And then we start on-field stuff with skills, and then towards the end of January, we normally have trials where we play against all sorts of, normally February we play against Boland, or we try to get games against SWD, or we play against clubs, or whoever, whatever, to give these guys a fair opportunity. So that's where the playing comes in, because some guys test well, but they are not as skillful as the guy that can play this game.
Yeah.
But it's a combination, but we can guide the guy then. Like you need to have this also in your game. You can't just be a good rugby player, but you don't have the sort of the stamina to play the whole game.
Just a word of advice from me, make sure rugby is a ball sport. So it is fantastic to come and be able to bench and squat and all the different elements, but it is a ball sport, and let's not over the festive season neglect the fact that we need to be able to pass in both directions, we need to be able to hold ball in hand, run with ball in hand, we need to be elusive. So all these elements make for a good rugby player. So let's not just focus too much on the gym and forget about holding the ball in hand and having some fun with ball in hand, because Western Province style is also to give the ball some width and play with some nice width across the field. Let's go and see what happened down at the HBC, and when we come back from that, we'll chat to Jerome about one or two players who potentially have already impressed.
This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks, and MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy.
Ja, was een lekker aangevoerd. Rugby is voor de eerste keer na de 7 die mannen zijn lichaampjes is een beetje moeg, maar die mannen elkaar lekker gepoet. Ja, nice, zoals je is lekker om oor die jaren in elkaar te spelen. Nou meet ons elkaar vandaan. Kan je een beetje gesels, breek en zo, terwijl ons bevind. En alles is lekker eerlijk ook geweest. Die mannen elkaar lekker gedruk ook zo vrede. Dus is baie verandering, ja, is baie, is meer soos Vanaand is meer gegaan op body strength en so, maar het was nog altijd. Ja, ons kan baie leer van ons nou al 'n bietjie lank in die pret ook al. Baie ken hom, so manne kan baie leer van hom. Ja.
This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks, and MChem 24-hour Pharmacy.
Welcome back, folks. That looks intense. This probably shows me why I no longer play Western Province rugby. But cutting straight to it, Jerome, what elements? I mean, look, we saw a heap of different exercises, of different testing taking place. What exactly, to the listeners, because they may not know exactly what was tested, what was tested at this early stage of sort of the end of the year, the preseason, whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, we did speed testing. And then we did obviously upper body strength testing. The upper body strength testing was pull-ups, push-ups. The push-ups in 1 minute as much push-ups as you can do, which the guys were partnering up. And the pull-ups is also as much pull-ups as you can do, because that's upper body strength. So then each guy has their own score on how much pull-ups they did, how much push-ups they did. And before that we did they come and weigh in, and we did their height. So we can tell a guy you need to lose weight or you need to gain weight. And we can also give them sort of a diet plan. That's the next step on the weighing for the guys that needs to get more weight and the guys to reduce weight. And then with the speed test that we did is a 10-meter sprint test and 40-meter sprint test, because that's basically it's more on the rugby specific, as you were saying. Now we do everything that we do is rugby specific. You need that 5 to 10 meters burst, and you need that 40 meters if you need to go score try and there's no support. So we did that, and then we have a Bronco test.
The dreaded Bronco.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, that's actually something that I would love all clubs to do, for players to do on a regular basis, because I think it's very important. It's a great base fitness level, but I don't think a lot of clubs know what it is.
Yeah, so it's exactly what you say, Morgan. The Stormers are doing 3 times a week. They do a Bronco. So it's a 1.2. They measure like a 1.2 kilometer. So it is a 20, 40, 60 meter.
Marked out on the field,
and it's like five times that you have to do that, and you have to do it in a certain time. So, for example, loose forwards will do it in 470, 480, and backs will do it in 440. So that's sort of the benchmark. Last night, I must say, there were few guys. I think there was one guy who did it in 5 minutes, and there was one back that was a forward, and there was one back that did it in 4. He did it in 4:57.
So they're pretty close. I mean, we always think that the Stormers are so far. It's so far beyond our ability. But already a Bronco, they're showing that there's certain players there whose fitness levels are up to play Super Rugby. Obviously, they may not have the skills and so forth. The full package may not be there yet. But there are already basic elements that 1 or 2 players already have to potentially, further their careers.
Yeah, one thing that I can say, Morgan, it's always a plus in Western Province. The guys are always fit, and the guys can run. That's one thing that we blessed with. That's why our club rugby is so strong. And I mean the coaches put a lot of effort in. Like I said, the coaches are already starting with the conditioning. So we blessed with that. So the guys come there, and like you say, you expect, okay, these guys are not going to make it. And a lot of guys were like in 6 minutes. There's a few that's over 6 minutes, but most of the guys were in and under 6 minutes. So yeah, that was good. And also with the sort of the strength testing, I was surprised also, because most of the guys can do 10 pull-ups.
Yeah.
The guy who did the best pull-ups were 23, and the second guy was 21 pull-ups. And it's also tough because it's the proper technique, because you need to hang completely.
Yeah, I know that, the straight elbows and
straight arms and straight. So that was good, and also with the push-ups. So the baseline is there already. We can actually just go further on with that guys, and I would say more than half of these guys already almost reached the standards that we're looking for.
Well, there you've heard it, folks, straight out of the horse's mouth. The head coach of the Supersport Challenge, Jerome Paalvaarder, telling us exactly what it's going to take for us to get into that team. Well, not get into the team, but maybe be part of the squad. Western Province do have contracted players, but there is an opportunity for plenty of club players to form part of that greater squad and potentially further their careers and be part of the Supersport Challenge, which I think is a fantastic stepping stone to one day hopefully playing Super Rugby. We're going to take a quick ad break, and when we come back from the ad break, we're going to head straight down into the Stormers. One of our team members was down there, and we chatted to one or two of the management. We also chatted to one or two of the players, and we're going to see what's currently going on in the Stormers camp, because Super Rugby is around the corner and the players are hard at work to make sure that they're ready when the season kicks off in January or February. So we'll take a quick ad break and see you after the break. Welcome back, folks. As we said, it's no rest for the wicked, and Western Province is hard at work when it comes to the Supersport Challenge, and then also the Stormers are hard at work because Super Rugby is around the corner. The Rugby World Cup has now come and gone, and I think the Springboks will probably fall back in there early in January. But nonetheless, the Stormers are still hard at work. But before I get to the Stormers, I want to talk to Jerome a little bit about how many players are we seeing come through the club ranks? Because I'm a big advocate for, I see that the potential in Western Province Club Rugby is fantastic and the quality is good. How many players are we seeing filtering into this Supersport Challenge? Because I know there are a number of contracted players, but I know also there are a number of guys that have potentially already played for you.
Yeah, Morgan, I'm sort of in the fortunate position. It's the first time that I've been, since the Supersport Challenge I've used to coach other teams within Western Province. But this year was the first year coaching Supersport Challenge. And it's so easy for me because if there's no provincial games that I have to attend to or that I have to be at, then I'm at club rugby. So it's easy for me going around and sort of see the guys who's got potential to play in a high level. And so, for example, this year we had at the end, after we've cut, we had 23 guys from the clubs coming in regularly and train. And this year I played 13 guys from the clubs who played Supersport Challenge. There's not a lot of how do I say? I think it's the first time ever that there's so many guys from the clubs playing. So but because I'm there weekends, go watch club rugby, and I know the guys.
So there's a realistic chance that club players can play Supersport Challenge, because I think you're hearing it now, folks, but I have to emphasize it. In the past to get to Supersport Challenge, or what was the old Vodacom Cup, was a difficult place to get to. Now, Jerome is on the ground, players are there, and 13 players from last year, or from this year, sorry, played for the Supersport Challenge. So there's a realistic chance that that percentage is high. If 23 guys rock up and 13 of them play, you've got a 50% chance of potentially making it. I'm not to say it's going to happen again this year or next year, but there's a realistic chance, and you are on the ground week in, week out. You're attending club fixes to see who's performing and who really has got the ability to make the step up.
Yeah, and I'm also glad, Morgan, that SA Rugby changed the format of the amount of contracts, senior contracts that you can have in your union. So we, for example, have 45 senior contracted guys, which give club guys more of an opportunity, which I explained to the guys who came in last night, that there's so much, there's more opportunities now for them to actually make the team.
Well, there you've heard it, folks. Fantastic to know that the pathway to make it into Supersport Challenge and potentially become a professional rugby player has just been opened up to the likes of Jerome, being on the ground and making sure that the opportunities are there for club players. So fantastic to see. But speaking of the pathway, let's look at the senior professional side, the Stormers. They are hard at work, and we caught up with them at Paul Roos, and let's see what they did in their training session as they prepare for what's going to be a very, very tough 2020 Super Rugby competition.
This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks, and MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy. This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks and MChem 24-hour pharmacy.
Welcome back, folks. There you see it. The Stormers hard at work. And Jerome, what I picked up there very clearly is there's a big balance between, just the physical stuff and also ball in hand this time of the year. In the past, I don't think that was really a thing. How important is it for club players, for the Stormers, for, provincial guys to find the balance at this time of the year, to not just be in the gym, to not just be doing, the wrestling and so forth, but to also ball in hand and make sure that the skill factor is still up there come January?
Yeah, it's very important, Morgan, to have a balance between that, because I know what they did yesterday morning. They had a sort of a wrestling session first, and then they went to the gym, and then they finished off with the field session. So, they have all the time, but you can also, as a club coach, you can also combine certain stuff. And also, normally this time of the year, you have a lot of guys at your field. So some guys can do almost like a strongman. Some guys can do like the running and the passing and playing conditioning games like what they were doing there. And then they can just swap it around. That's normally how they do it.
Because, it's also very clear that, a ball in hand and skills whilst fatigue is two very different things. When you're fresh to pass the ball around, it's quite easy. But when you fatigue, it's not as easy anymore. So, they got to get the balance right between playing under stress and also just playing when they sort of fresh.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things that I know that we encourage at Western Province into running into space. But if the contact is there, it's how to use and how to recoil and how to do stuff properly. So that's within the conditioning game. So it's almost like a touch, but it's almost like a full-on sort of touch. But it's not 100% full-on at this stage. But it's just to correct the technique and to use the space and use your feet. And if you go down, to place the ball properly, and then the guy will come clean out. So there's a lot of combinations.
So at this stage of the year, folks, it's important that we can work on technique, not at the massive high intensity, maybe the collision, but make sure that, we're sort of getting the techniques right and ironing out any of the creases which may exist in your squad, in individual players. Individual management at this time of the year is also very important. So fantastic time of the year to put in real groundwork to be successful in 2020. And talking of being successful, we're going to touch base with the head coach, or sorry, not the head coach, the assistant coach of the Stormers, Davy Snyman, and hear what his thoughts is on how preseason's going and what to look forward to in 2020.
This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks and MChem 24-hour pharmacy.
Mens kan sien hoe die energie wat hy ons bring, hulle is opgewonde om op die veld te wees. Ons was so vir 5 weke in die gym wat ons 'n bietjie kragwerk gedoen het en opgebou het, maar van laasweek af wat ons op die veld was, kan jy sien regtig waar die energie is daar in die ouens, is hulle om op die veld te wees. Ja, kyk, ons het jong ouetjies geïdentifiseer wat ons glo waarde kan toevoeg tot die Stormers volgende jaar. Jy weet, ouens soos David Kriel en Rikus Pretorius wat goed gedoen het, selfs by die S120's was wat nou by ons saam oefen en hulle doen baie goed so ver. Ja, Damien Willemse is op die oomblik by Saracens en Wilco Lou het so pas teruggekom van Toulon af. Hy het bietjie daarso gespeel, dan het ons vir Chad Solomon wat ook by die Kings speel. Ons het hom geleen vir hulle. En dan die Springbokke het ons nog afgegee, weet hulle het bietjie tyd nodig weg van rugby af en weet net om te rus en by hulle families te wees, en so hulle sal seker so middel Desember sal hulle weer by ons aansluit. Dit is belangrik want omdat ons 'n jong groep het wat nou op die stadion by ons oefen, jy weet, so om hulle voor te berei vir so rugby is dit belangrik dat mense hulle die vereistes van die spel en weet aan blootstel, en dis wat ons op die oomblik mee besig is.
This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks and MChem 24-hour pharmacy.
Welcome back, folks. There we heard it from Davy Snyman talking about how the Stormers have moved sort of a little bit away from the gym and onto the field now over the last couple of weeks, and the enthusiasm of the players. But Jerome, there are a number of guys here that look very familiar to you, from under 21s through the ranks that you've coached. I mean, it's a really young and exciting Stormers squad that's been formed.
Yeah, Morgan, I'm actually glad we managed to keep I would say almost 99% of the guys who played in the under 21 final, and great potential. There's tight forwards, loose forwards, backs, young guys with huge potential, and I think about 3 of that guys already played Super Rugby from my under 21 squad. So it's a good mixer there, and I mean the Springboks still have to come back. and sort of your older guys mixing with these guys. And I mean, the game is going to, the guys are getting younger and the guys are getting stronger and fitter, and it's if you're good enough, you must play. You're old enough, you can play.
100%. There you've heard it. So if you're good enough, you're old enough. And the Stormers squad is one very exciting young squad. And under the guidance of head coach John Dobson, I think they're really headed in the right direction. Davy Slimman as well, been around the block, and plenty of others. I see Labib Levy has also joined their squad, Jerome. In what capacity has Labib joined that squad?
Yeah, Labib Levy is the doing technical stuff for them, and also skills. And then also Rito Lungwani.
Yes, I didn't mention him. Yes, Rito Lungwani.
Forwards.
Yeah. No, so a fantastic squad of management squad that's being formed amongst the Stormers, and we expect exciting things from them in 2020. Speaking of exciting things, Ernest van Ryn is a player that will be looking to lay down his marker in that squad before the Springboks come back, but he'll be looking to lay down a marker. Let's hear what he had to say. We're going to go straight from him into the ad break, and when we come back from the ad break, we're going to look at what's going on with regard to the Christmas party. We also chat to the manager of the Stormers, Chippy Solomons, but plenty to come after the ad break. See you guys now.
This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks and MChem 24-hour Pharmacy.
Ja, nee, verseker. Ag, ek dink ons het genoeg tyd afgehad. Obviously na die teleurstellende Currie Cup kan ek sê seisoen. Redelik vroeg klaar gemaak en toe 'n bietjie af, maar nou weer goeie amper 2 maande aan die gang. En ja, nee, dit is baie lekker. Voel ons werk lekker hard en ja, opgewonde vir die nuwe seisoen en die nuwe jaar wat voor lê. Ja, nee, verseker. Ek dink is lekker opwindend en hulle bring ook 'n nuwe energie en so. Soos jy nou gesê het, ons is maar 'n redelike jongerige groep op die oomblik. Wag natuurlik vir 'n paar van die senior manne wat nog 'n bietjie rus om terug te kom, maar ek dink ons kry energie soos jy nou gesê het. Die ouens is lus om te oefen en ons is lus om hard te werk en om regtig volgende jaar goed te probeer doen. Ja, ag, dit is mos maar 'n redelike harde deel van die oefening en so, en die seker baie mense sal sê is die minder lekker deel want jy wil eintlik mos maar speel. Maar definitief nodig om die lyf lekker reg te kry vir die seisoen en om beseringsvry te bly. En ja, ek dink volgende jaar begin die Super Rugby al die 1 Februarie, die eerste wedstryd, so dis ongelooflik vroeg, soos jy moet nou seker maak jy sit die werk in en jy's reg om volgende jaar begin volgende jaar om 100% te kan gee.
This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks and MChem 24-hour Pharmacy.
Welcome back, folks. There you heard it from Ernest van Ryn before the ad break. He's extremely excited for the Super Rugby season to start, and it's going to be an exciting one. And make sure you get your Stormers jerseys and we get behind the Stormers, because and let's pack out Newlands, because the Newlands is not going to be around for too much longer. So let's try and pack out Newlands and really get behind the Stormers this year. Before we go anywhere else, we're going to talk a little bit about the Christmas party, the annual Christmas party which takes place at the HBC. One of our team members was down there and we caught up some footage from the Christmas party. We also managed to catch up with Stormers manager Chippy Solomons as he chats to us about the Christmas party and everything that happens this time of the year.
This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks and MChem 24-hour Pharmacy.
Well, this has become an annual event for the last 8 to 10 years. Mr. Herman Abrams was instrumental in putting this whole plan together about us going out there and doing a bit extra for our communities in the underprivileged areas, especially even deeper the orphanages in the area. And for the last few years we've been entertaining different institutions, providing them with some fun and games and nice meal and some Christmas presents which they obviously wouldn't get from any other institutions anywhere in the Western Cape. And we feel very honored and privileged to be able to be contributing to these young children's lives. You know what, when I was convener of Western Province Schools way back in the 1980s and the early 90s, we had in the underprivileged areas up to 72 schools playing rugby, only high schools. The primary schools were even more schools involved in rugby, but unfortunately for the last few years that numbers has diminished because school sport is slowly but surely dying in the underprivileged areas because of lack of facilities. There's still no facilities, there's still no equipment, there's so little of of everything that it's very difficult to promote sport in those areas. Therefore, it has now slowly become our responsibility at Western Province to initiate things like this, to get sports still in the communities. It's not easy because of the lack of funding as well. I can tell you this, I was involved in school sports for many years, for 20 years of my teaching career. I look around here and you see these lighties. I mean, they are amazing. You can see the way they step, the way they catch, the way they tackle. They've got a lot of heart and passion. So many years ago, 90% of the provincial schools teams in our era of Saru rugby came from these underprivileged areas. There's so much unearthed talent there, but they're not afforded the opportunity to expand and to show their skills at the next level. You know, the first thing they come here is to kick their shoes off and run on this grass. I mean, when have they ever been on a proper sports field? Never ever. This is their one opportunity this year that they'll be running on a proper wicket, a proper turf, well-kept grass, and they just love it. If they can run all day, they will run. But it's the small things in life that really matters. And for them, this memory will go a long way into ensuring that they have a pleasant festive season like all of us always wish to have.
This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Direct Access Financial Services, Score Energy Drinks, and MChem 24-Hour Pharmacy.
Well, there you have it, folks. Fantastic initiative, Christmas party that happens annually at Western Province at the HBC. We also catch up with Chippy Solomons, who's a very busy man this time of the year, because planning for Super Rugby and all the different competitions is not an easy job, and he's got his work cut out for him this time of the year. Jerome, fantastic initiative to have the orphan kids come down and to the HBC.
Yeah, it's for many years now, and I know Faisal Felton is actually running that project. I must say the players, the Stormers guys are quite good. They run with the kids and they play with the kids, and the kids get crazy if they see these guys. And also there's a Father Christmas coming out normally they come on a fire brigade truck.
Oh yes, I've been involved with that actually a couple of years. Yeah, that's a massive highlight.
So the kids go crazy, but it's good. It's good for this kids, Morgan, to come out and to come to Bellville and to meet sort of their heroes and they get Christmas presents, and it's a really good initiative from Faisal and Western Province, obviously helping these kids.
Fantastic initiative there from Faisal Felton and the like that take place every year down at the HBC. Is it open to the public, and can the public come in and support, I guess, or is that not?
Public can come, yeah, if they want. There's normally a few people coming in there if they see the commotion going on, but it's open.
Oh, fantastic. So there you have it, folks. Fantastic initiative. Happened this morning. So unfortunately, if you're only catching the show this evening, unfortunately, you missed out on this one. But next year, it'll happen again, and try and get down to the HBC and support the initiative. It's time for you to get your cell phones handy, because you can now win for yourself a case of Score energy drinks. Grab your cell phones and put yourself in the draw to win a case of Score energy drinks. All you got to do is SMS the word SCORE to 33090. And congratulations to last week's winner, Deirdre Minna. She wins for herself a case of Score energy drinks. So Deirdre, someone from Cape Rugby TV will be in touch with you over the next couple of minutes, or tomorrow rather, and you can come and grab yourself a case of Score energy drinks. Folks, we're going to take another ad break, and when we come back from the ads, we're going to go and head straight into the Colby Sevens taking place this weekend. It's a massive competition with plenty of teams from Boland and Western Province taking part. And the bragging rights between Boland and Western Province from a sevens point of view lies with the Colby Sevens. So we're going to see who's competing and have a little bit of a chat about another fantastic sevens competition taking place. And it's named after our very own Cheslin Colby, who's been winning awards across the board. Won a French Rugby Player of the Year. He's now won French World Cup Participant Player of the Year. I think I got the title correct, but fantastic for Cheslin Colby to be winning all these accolades. And in his interview, he actually went on to say that there are a number of other awards he still wants to win before the year is out. So Cheslin Colby taking the world of rugby by storm, and rightly so. Fantastic rugby player. We're going to take an ad break, and then we'll chat about the Colby Sevens this weekend. Welcome back, folks. The show is flying this evening. So much happening, even though the club rugby scene is coming to a bit of a halt before we head back into the new year. But we're going to head into the Colby Sevens now. And what a fantastic sevens competition this is. The third year running of the Colby Sevens. And Regan Marcus is the organizer of this event. And it's a fantastic event. that you don't want to miss. We're going to quickly look at the poster that's been posted and all the teams participating. There we see it, the Colby Sevens. It's this Saturday, the 30th of November. It takes place at Central Park. There's going to be food, there's a beer garden, there's live music, and spectators entry is free is 20 Rand for adults, 10 Rand for children under the age of 12, and 10 Rand for vehicles. And pensioners get in free. And after the match, there's an after party taking from 7 o'clock till late with the sweet sounds, and I'm sure you don't want to miss this. There's going to be plenty of action off the field, I'm sure, once the Colby Sevens wraps up. But let's take a look at the participating teams also very quickly. Plenty of teams there. The Colby Sevens in Pool A, it's the Cape Crusaders, it's Temperance, it's Morning Star, it's Galaxy Warriors, and then in Pool B is Eerste River, Never Despair, Barfalay Barbarians, and Durban. While in Pool C, it's the Rebels, Spartans, Liberty Web Rebels, and Scottsdene. And then in Pool D, it's Warriors, Scottsdene 2, Zakai Kings, and Living Legends. So plenty of familiar names there amongst those teams, Jerome, and some quality sevens should be on display this weekend.
Yeah, it's good to see also the teams of Boland. I think Never Despair is from Boland, and I think the Barfalay is from Boland. So it's good to see that they're here, coming here, and I know maybe next year again a lot of the the guys from the club rugby here go and play 15s, go play friendlies against them. So it's good to see that interaction there. But it's yeah, it's good. I mean, at the end of it's now, I think hopefully this before the big sevens this is the last of sort of club sevens. I don't know if there's any more other tournaments, but it seems to pop up. But it's been very successful with sort of Cheslin Colby. I think the first time he was very hands-on with this, with the ranging and with the tournament, and I think he sponsors some of the money for the guys and stuff. So it's good for him to give back to his community from Kraaifontein where he come back.
Yeah, it is fantastic. I mean, kudos to Cheslin Colby for really getting involved in grassroots rugby from a sponsorship point of view. Jerome, at this point of the year, how important is it to play sevens? I mean, sevens is an element of everything in that. There's skills, there's physicality, there's everything involved. Is it a good idea for a lot of teams to play sevens and keep it exciting?
I would say it's a good idea because it's what you want now. It's more cardio, it's a lot of running, and with some contact in it. And the last thing you want is actually, obviously, your guys to get injured now. But it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of running. So it's a good. It's actually good. And I know a lot of guys play sort of touch rugby now when they start with their pre-season. And they can combine it with sevens also. I think it's a good way to keep fit and with contact also in it, but it's not that much physical as the normal game is.
Speaking of sevens, there's also plenty of other sevens taking place. It's the Dubai Sevens, that kicks off pretty soon, and then it's also the Cape Town Sevens, which should be fantastic. I mean, the Springboks, the Blitzboks are looking fantastic. I speak under correction, but I think they may have played against Tygerberg over the last couple of days. So club teams also getting to play against the Blitzboks, which is one of our standout performing teams from a rugby point of view over the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's good that I mean, obviously Tygerberg won the Western Province Club Sevens, so it's good for them to get almost like a reward to play against the Blitzbokke. I think they played yesterday against them, so it's good. It's good for them, but also the Blitzbokke, they're looking good. I've seen them in Kenya, in Nairobi, looking good. And hopefully they can do Cape Town proud again, in South Africa proud again, like the Springboks did, because I think people are spoiled now and they don't accept anything less than that.
Exactly right. The Springboks have really set the bar very high for any other competing rugby team in the country. So good luck to the Blitzboks. They're going to have their hands full. Also, good luck to all those competing in the Colby Sevens this weekend. It should be a fantastic tournament, and if you're looking for something to do this weekend, head on to watch the Colby Sevens. There is going to be talent galore on display, and I mean, there are a lot of teams there that can win this one. I know that I think it's some Rebels or the Barbarians team which has won it 2 years in a row, but I'm sure there are one or two teams there will be putting their hands up wanting to win this. There's prize money up for grabs. I'm not sure what it is, but I have been told, a little birdie told me that there's prize money up for grabs, so definitely a great tournament to be involved in. Before we go to the ad break, folks, there's a jersey a special that's been running. And if you look at the screen right now, there's a jersey special. It's the off-season rugby jersey sale. Senior jerseys at 220 Rand ex VAT. That's a fantastic price thanks to CTC Sports for coming on board and doing this great initiative. There's junior jerseys at 200 Rand ex VAT. and the special runs from the 1st of November 2019 to the 1st of January 2020. So if you're looking for jerseys for your club, then make sure you contact the guys at CTC Sports. That's a fantastic special, and they do make great quality jerseys. So you want to get your hands on that and get your first team looking all primed and ready, and you know, with the sponsors, logos all over the place. It's going to be a fantastic year in 2020, and the jersey is probably the first point to looking and performing well on the field come 2020. We're going to take an ad break, and when we come back from the ad break, we're going to wrap things up. We're going to see what Jerome's going to be keeping himself busy with over the next week, and yeah, just wrap things up and look forward to a fantastic year of rugby in 2020. Welcome back, folks. The hour has flown by, and it's already almost something to 10. And as we wrap up the show, Jerome, in closing, what are we looking forward to? I know you say you have the club guys down there again tomorrow night, so a number of maybe potentially that will watch the show sending their players through to come do more testing. And then what does the rest of the week hold for you?
Yeah, Morgan, hopefully, like I said, I know Durban said they're sending their players tomorrow. I hope Hamiltons are also sending their players tomorrow.
I will make sure that the powers that be at Hamilton's send their players through. It's a great opportunity, I must agree.
Yeah, so yeah. And then next week we start with the Super C, the 3rd of December. So we're testing Super C. I want to test as much players as we can test and give them their program. So yeah, next week they're coming. And next year in January we go out to Paarl region. So we're going to test guys there in the Paarl region. So yeah, it gives us an opportunity to see. You never know. There might be a guy in the regions that's got massive potential
yeah,
to become a star one day. There's always some of that guys out there. So yeah, that's what we're currently doing now. This whole of now in December. In January will be a lot of testing. That's what we do, and yeah, and hopefully more guys will come that weekend. It's open for anybody who wants to be tested.
But just when you say open, let's just clarify this very quickly. The club needs to send these players. No, we can't just have we can't have all 92 clubs every 15 coming and rocking up.
And yeah, and saying it's open to the clubs, which we send in the clubs. No, we also send out. It's 5 per club, and they must be really serious about that. Must be guys who have potential to play higher up and to play on have the potential to become a professional rugby player.
Just to the coaches, send 5 real guys who have shown interest, who have been enthusiastic, who have the ability to potentially play in Jerome's Super Challenge. To the coaches, send out 5 players, please. I think it's a fantastic opportunity. And then to the players, make sure you're hounding your coach and asking your coach if you have the potential to maybe play in Jerome's Super Challenge side. At Hamilton's, for sure, they'll be sending 5 players. And I think it's really, really of utmost importance that we do this, because it's a fantastic opportunity for club players to get a taste of what professional life is all about, and then also to know what they need to work towards in order to achieve that. Because performance on the field is one thing, but you know, there's a number of different elements outside of the 4 white lines which need to be in order to play for Jerome's Super Challenge side. So Jerome, thank you so much. I mean, it's been a fantastic show. And you know, from a coaching, should clubs be winding down? Should they still keep the guys active? What should clubs be doing as they wind down the year?
I know a lot of clubs are busy, but it's more fun in games now what they're busy doing. I think they open it to guys who want to come and join and wants to run a bit, and it's also good for the community, because I think, Morgan, we know in the past, if nothing's going on at community sport fields, it get breaked in and it get when they come back in January, there's almost nothing. So it's also good for the community to be involved, whatever, on a Saturday, whatever, go and braai and guys have fun. Maybe guys go to beach or whatever, but it's more like for the communities and to keep their sport fields on the go.
There you've heard it, folks. Keep your clubs open, keep the doors open, keep the people flowing in, create a touch rugby tournament, keep the guys active, but keep them coming down on the weekend to enjoy a facility that is being used to serve the community. So fantastic there from Jerome. Jerome, thank you so much for joining me. I think it's, there's so much happening, and all the best with the testing. And yeah, contact Jerome if you're wanting to get involved. He's the right man to make sure that your pathway to professional rugby can potentially can get a kick start. So, and then also very quick thanks to our MChem Pharmacy. Thank you to Direct Access. Thank you to Score Energy Drinks for coming on board with Cape Rugby TV. Thank you to Yes Electrical, who've also been partners to Cape Rugby TV. A fantastic opportunity. And then don't forget, make sure you get your jerseys at CTC Sports. There's a fantastic special running there. So plenty happening outside the 4 wide lines as we wind down the year. And JP will be back next week, so stay tuned for that. I'm sure you're all looking forward to seeing JP Nodier in studio and not me manning the fort. I'll potentially be a guest and we can talk, have a little bit of banter, but I'm sure JP Nodier will be back next week from his travels. He is back, like I said, he's back and arrived safely in one piece, and we'll hear about how he's done with his endeavors overseas. So thank you for joining me this evening. Have yourselves a fantastic rugby weekend, and make sure we stay safe on the roads and responsible out there on the roads and so forth over the weekend. And we'll see you guys again, same place, same time next weekend. Cheers, everybody.